In the 12th century, the lands of the Middle East were a tapestry of kingdoms, faiths, and relentless conflict. Among the most turbulent was the region of Syria and Egypt, where empires clashed and the call to war echoed across deserts and fortresses. From this world of uncertainty and strife emerged a figure whose name would become synonymous with honor, strategy, and courage: Saladin. Born as Al-ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub in 1137 in Tikrit, modern-day Iraq, Saladin belonged to a Kurdish family that would guide him into military and administrative life from a young age. His early years were spent learning not only the art of war but also the principles of leadership, faith, and diplomacy. In a world where kingdoms rose and fell like waves, these lessons would prove invaluable. Saladin first entered the historical stage as a commander under his uncle, Nur ad-Din, a powerful ruler of Syria. At a time when the Crusader states had entrenched themselves along the eastern Mediterranean coast, controlling key cities and fortresses, the Christian and Muslim worlds were locked in a brutal struggle. Jerusalem, the spiritual heart of the region, had been under Crusader control for decades, and tensions ran high. Rising quickly through the ranks, Saladin distinguished himself not only through bravery on the battlefield but through strategic brilliance. Unlike many leaders who relied solely on brute force, he combined tactical precision with diplomacy and patience. He understood that to reclaim the Holy Land, it was not enough to win battles. One had to unite fractured Muslim territories under a common cause. By the 1170s and 1180s, Saladin's reputation was growing. He became the vizier of Egypt, consolidating power, reforming the army, and ensuring that the region could sustain prolonged campaigns. His leadership was marked by mercy and wisdom, winning loyalty from diverse groups, including soldiers, civilians, and scholars. He was not a ruler who terrorized his own people. He was a leader who inspired devotion and unity. Saladin's rise coincided with growing threats from the Crusader states. The city of Jerusalem remained a prized jewel, and the Christian kings of Europe were determined to retain it. In response, Saladin built alliances, strengthened fortifications, and trained a disciplined army capable of confronting these highly skilled foes. Each campaign, each negotiation, each movement on the chessboard of war brought him closer to his ultimate goal: reclaiming Jerusalem not through wanton destruction, but through a combination of military genius and moral authority. One of his early victories demonstrated his tactical brilliance. When Crusader forces threatened Cairo and northern Egypt, Saladin's forces used intelligence, rapid maneuvering, and strategic positioning to outflank the enemy, capturing key fortresses without unnecessary bloodshed. These campaigns cemented his reputation as both a formidable warrior and a prudent commander. By the time the Third Crusade loomed on the horizon, Saladin had become a figure known far beyond his own lands. European chronicles spoke of his honor, his chivalry, and his ability to inspire both fear and respect in his adversaries. To the people of the Muslim world, he was more than a commander. He was a symbol of resistance, unity, and faith, embodying the hope that Jerusalem could once again be under Muslim stewardship. Yet Saladin was not merely a distant, untouchable figure. He walked among his soldiers, shared their hardships, and often led charges personally. This combination of personal courage, strategic insight, and moral authority made him an almost legendary figure even during his own lifetime, a man whose every decision could alter the course of history. And so, as the shadow of the Crusaders stretched across the Levant, Saladin prepared for the confrontations that would define his legacy. The battles to come, the sieges, and the diplomatic maneuvers would test not only his skill as a commander but the very ideals he stood for. The world was on the brink of monumental change, and Saladin was at its center, ready to carve a place in history that would be remembered for centuries. By the late 1180s, Saladin had solidified control over Egypt and Syria, uniting much of the Muslim world under his leadership for the first time in decades. But his ultimate goal remained clear: Jerusalem. The city, sacred to Muslims, Christians, and Jews alike, had been under Crusader rule since 1099, and Saladin knew that reclaiming it would require not only military might but patience, cunning, and moral authority. In 1187, Saladin faced the Crusader forces at the Battle of Hattin, a decisive moment that would change the course of the Crusades. Outnumbered and surrounded by harsh summer conditions, Saladin used the terrain to his advantage. He cut off water supplies and forced the Crusader army into disarray. The resulting clash was devastating. Knights fell, banners were captured, and the Crusader forces were annihilated. Among the captured was King Guy of Jerusalem, ensuring that the city's leadership was now firmly under Saladin's control. Following Hattin, Saladin moved toward Jerusalem itself. Rather than unleashing indiscriminate slaughter, he offered terms of surrender to the city's Christian inhabitants, allowing many to leave safely in exchange for ransom. This act of mercy and honor became legendary, earning him respect even among his enemies and cementing his reputation as a commander guided by both strategy and ethics. Saladin's approach was revolutionary for the time. While many rulers resorted to cruelty to consolidate power, he demonstrated that a leader could win hearts and minds while still achieving military objectives. His conduct during the siege of Jerusalem not only reclaimed the city but established a standard of chivalry that echoed throughout Europe and the Middle East. Yet Saladin's challenges did not end there. The news of Jerusalem's fall prompted the launch of the Third Crusade, led by some of Europe's most famous kings, Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick I of the Holy Roman Empire. These forces sought to retake the city, and the ensuing campaigns would test Saladin's skill, endurance, and patience. Despite facing legendary warriors and massive armies, Saladin outmaneuvered his opponents, avoiding direct, costly engagements when possible, while striking strategically to weaken enemy positions. He managed to maintain control of Jerusalem, secure vital supply lines, and even negotiate truces that prevented unnecessary slaughter. In every encounter, his combination of tactical brilliance, personal courage, and ethical leadership kept him one step ahead of the Crusaders. Saladin's legacy extended beyond the battlefield. He was a just ruler, a devout man of faith, and a patron of learning and culture. Cities under his rule prospered, scholars thrived, and his diplomatic correspondence displayed a mind as sharp as his sword. He became a figure respected by both friends and foes, a rare example of a warrior whose honor matched his prowess. In 1193, Saladin passed away peacefully in Damascus, leaving behind a united realm and a legacy that would endure for centuries. His life inspired countless generations, not only as a military genius but as a symbol of leadership, morality, and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The story of Saladin reminds us that true power lies not only in conquering lands but in earning respect, inspiring loyalty, and acting with integrity, even amid the chaos of war. If you were inspired by the story of Saladin, give this video a like, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, and subscribe to Chronicles of the Valiant. Every week, we bring the world's greatest warriors to life. Don't miss the next epic tale.